now, South Africa's prison system consists of nearly 250 prisons, which are mostly overpopulated at a huge cost to the state. Government's Correction and Rehabilitation Department is tasked with effective rehabilitation programs to enable successful reintegration into society. But this does not always work, and there is a high rate of repeat offenders. This is where non-profit initiatives such as Hlumelelisa say they can provide skills to empower prisoners and prepare them for the job market. Joining us now to explain the effectiveness of such programs is Hlumelelisa's facilitator, Prince Jiyane. Prince, I certainly hope that the line is better now, and good evening and thank you so much for your time. Let's just begin with your program. What does it entail in order to ensure that inmates are rehabilitated?
Good evening. Thank you for having me, and good evening to the viewers. Hlumelelisa provides courses that rehabilitate inmates, give them the ability to, like when they are released, they are able to find work in horticulture skills, or they can create their own employment by doing cultivation, crop cultivation, of which entails like sowing of vegetables, and they can sell to the market. And also horticulture is about also beautifying, so it will mean cultivating of flowers.
And when we talk about, some of these, skills that you're then giving them in order for them to be able to access some of these opportunities, let's look at somebody that, is finding themselves in prison. Let's say you've just been sentenced and you're going to prison now. Does everyone stand a chance of being rehabilitated, or are these opportunities that are left to others?
Everyone has a chance to be rehabilitated, but it usually comes with you yourself to have that ability to want to change. So we are there to, like, usually people when they are incarcerated, they lose hope. So we are there to revive so that they find them, they do introspection, and then they can acquire skills, and they also accepting nature so that they can be reintegrated back to the community. Also for them to know what's the purpose for them to be actually in this world. Yes.
And I do understand that we're joined now by the organization's founder, Paul Bruns. Paul, thank you so much for your time tonight. And I want us just to begin with you. Certainly, this is an important part of a conversation when it comes to, inmates and how they are then prepared for a life outside of prison when they finish their sentences. But some of them, sometimes complain about losing out on opportunities while they're in prison, especially when they have to serve lengthy sentences. How then do you navigate these waters as your organization?
Good evening. Thank you so much. We've actually, when I first started in the prisons in 2002, I wanted to try and help everybody with everything, and I soon realized this wasn't possible. So what we really do at present is we formed Hlumelelisa, where we teach. We use horticultural skills as a vehicle to help with rehabilitation, because we find that working with the soil, working with the land, and in my own personal life, through my bad times, I always found solace in trees and in nature. And so we have a 9-month program, and all the prison officials at the time said they'd never last that long, but they go on the program, and we say we grow people. There are not enough programs within correctional services to look after the 130,000 there. And disappointingly, in fact, many of them, a lot of them, don't see rehabilitation as a path to the solution of the problems within their lives. So the opportunities are there, but it is by the grace of whoever it is that they come into the program. And of course, like in with Prince's Prince's example was that he was recommended by somebody, and while he's a facilitator now, he recommends other people to go into the prison, and he acts as an example to it. So I don't have any real glib answers, unfortunately.
And Paul, you touched on something very important that says that, there aren't enough programs that are available for inmates to be able to access when it comes to, preparing themselves for life beyond prison. What does this then do? Because, it means then that some of them have access while others don't. What then becomes the impact of this?
If I may continue, there are programs available, and the correctional services also give programs. They give drug rehabilitation program, a 2-week program. They give aggression management, a 2-week program. Those programs are, and I hesitate to say it, but I know it to be true, and I don't want to be controversial, but those programs are done for the certificate which they can give to the parole officer, who's, if they don't complete X amount of programs, they won't go on to parole. But I do question the effectiveness of those programs. I'm not saying they're totally ineffective, but the reason that and I must also say a 2-week program is too short, but that's a personal opinion, anyhow.
And gentlemen, I understand that we're also joined on the phone by former prisoner Xolani Njingana, who's from Lusikisiki in the Eastern Cape, just to share his own experience and now that he's back home. Xolani, good evening, and thank you so much for your time tonight. And if I can just begin here with you, let's talk about life after prison for you. How has it been?
Good evening.
Hi,
Hello, Bongiwe.
Hi, I'm not sure if you heard my question. I was asking you, Guti, life after prison, how has it been for you?
Yes, I heard Bongiwe. As for me, life after prison, it was good because since I prepared myself before I can be released. So I've joined that course of horticulture while I was in prison, which I heard from the guys there inside. There was horticulture while I was still inside. Then I have the interest myself. No, you know what? Let me just try this. What is horticulture? I didn't know anything about it.
And when you look at something like horticulture, particularly because it'll help you be able to do something with your hands, was it easy for you to be accepted by the community? Because we do know that reintegration sometimes becomes a problem.
No, for my side, everything just went well. Even the community accepted me the way I am. I didn't encounter any problem in my side.
And Paul, certainly this is something that what Xolani is saying, that it's not always the case that communities are as welcoming, that businesses are as welcoming to former inmates, particularly when it comes to either supporting them or even making sure that they get jobs. What then becomes of the issue around criminal records when it comes to securing some form of employment for the former inmates?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And in fact, Xolani works for us, and he has been working for us as the last 6 or 7 years, and he's a wonderful facilitator and student. But getting back, one of the real concerns is with the released inmates. Is they go back home, and that's an extra mouth to feed. They stay 10 people in a 4-roomed house, all those type of things that develop, and that they're welcomed in the first week or two because that's the family, and they're part of the family. But once the true realities of life come to pass, and they can't get a job and things like that, then it becomes a burden. And always the problem, the worry, I suppose, is that they might reoffend.
And for you, Prince, as a facilitator who also deals with people on the cold face and trying to introduce them to, horticulture and something that they can be able to do with their hands, what are some of the conversations that take place with them when you're trying to get them interested in this particular program, and also for them to be able to do something with their hands that they can be able to survive with?
Yes, at first it becomes very difficult because people, they have that mindset to say, like, if you are clever, then you can't work with soil. So they kind of like being bored, but once they get through the course, then they realize that it is not only also about horticulture, but it is more of life orientation, whereby all the skills you learn the skills about horticulture and also about humanity, that will help also for them to reintegrate well with the communities. And it also entails that it is not also about not seeking a job, because if you have a criminal record, usually it is only the private sector that will usually employ you. But then it shifts the mind that we as disadvantaged people, then we must use the ability that we have to earn a living and help others start something from scratch or from nothing and then climb the ladder.
And Xolani, Budwam, I'm sure you're not. You obviously are one of those that were fortunate to be reintegrated back into society quite easily, and your community accepting you. What do you say tonight to some of those that are struggling to get back into communities, and to those communities that are struggling to accept them back?
What I can say, Bongiwe, for me, what I can say is that there is life after prison. I know that some certain individuals, they don't believe that. They say, no, when we're released, it will be hard for me to get a job and stuff. But it comes with you. What do you want in life? Have you changed while you were incarcerated? What did you acquire while you were saving your time? Did you manage to go to some to do some certain skills, or go to register and acquire your matric if you don't have a matric, or also do some technical studies as well, so that you can be well prepared when you are being released?
And let's talk about you, because you were someone that was convicted, and you were sentenced to 22 years for murder and robbery. What are some of the lessons, apart from horticulture, that you learned while you were still in prison, and what were some of the conversations that you then had with some of the people that you had wronged before?
Yeah, for me, when you were yes, I did that for horticulture all inside. Because before I studied doing engineering. So I did well, I was inside only, and I did manage to acquire M3.
And have you reached out to the family members of, their loved ones whose life you took away? Do you even know them? I'm saying, have you reached out to the family that was affected by your actions? Do you even know them at all?
No. Unfortunately, Bongiwe, I don't know them. I never met them. The only thing that I've tried to do, there is a thing that we do that inside before you can be released, which is victim offender dialogue, which is VOD. There you are showing you how remorseful you are to the wrongdoing that you have done before you were being incarcerated, showing that you have changed, you are a better person. I've tried to do that, but unfortunately I never met them. But I did, so I just met the social worker, so I just encountered that I managed to accumulate that victim offender dialogue.
Thank you so much for your time tonight, and do appreciate your time, gentlemen, tonight. And thank you so much for sharing some of the stories with us, and also to Paul, who is behind this organization, and Prince as well, doing the work. Thank you so much for your time. That was, of course, Paul Bruns, who is the founder of Hlumelelisa, and we also had Prince, who is one of the facilitators there, Prince Jiyane, who is a facilitator at Hlumelelisa. And then we also had Xolani Njingana from Lusikisiki in the Eastern Cape, who is a former inmate. And of course, we're looking at the processes to empower former inmates for productive life after prison.